Uhulumeni angeke kwazi ukuthi acompete nosomabhizinisi ngokuholela abantu. Umsebenzi wahulumeni imali azoyithola ileyo uhulumeni ayidisadile ukuthi mina kayithola ivumelana nenyunyana. Kodwa ngaphandle labantu abazimele bamabhizinisi bakhipha imali ezinkulu kakhulu. Ingakho kulula nje ukuthi bahehe amaphoyisa ukuthi azosebenzela bona. Kodwa kunalolu phiko esinalo ebizwa special task force ekade khulunywa ngayo eqaleni ukuthi kubonakala imembe eziningi amalungu amaningi lombutho resigner eyojoina ama security company eyogada abantu abathile. Kuyasihlukumeza ke thina ngoba siyazibuza ukuthi inhloso yini ukuthi ungaze nje uwise uhulumeni wonke ngokuthi ufuna kuzogadwa. Asicabanga ukuthi isizathu leso. Sicabanga ukuthi khona okunye okwenziwayo okwenza ukuthi kuqashwe lamaphoyisa amaningi angaka. So sithe ukulumana indlebeke neoffice eliphezulu ukuthi lisibhekele le ndaba ngoba kunanto esingayiboni kahle ngathi yenzeka.
Some concerns raised about members of the Special Task Force and the National Intervention Unit leaving in high numbers the SAPS. Now, these are South Africa's most elite units. They are specialized units where people or members who have 2 years active service in SAPS can apply to be part of the STF or the NIU. And the issue comes in where these members are now being snatched up by private security companies and the private sector. It cost the taxpayer 1.1 million rand to train one special task force member, and just a little less than that to train a member of the National Intervention Unit. And the issue and the concern being raised here is that these members are now leaving to join private security, despite the state spending all this money to train them. They jump out of trains, airplanes, cars, and moving vehicles, and they are highly equipped and skilled in weapons. We're talking about high caliber weapons, counter-assault training, anti-terrorism, and all forms of high-end training that they get from the state, and yet they are jumping ship to the private sector. Now, the main issue and the main thing of concern here is not so much the fact that these members are leaving, even though that it's costing the state so much money to train these members, and they're opting to leave due to them not being adequately paid by the state. And in some instances, from what a former STF member tells us, they earn about 400 Rand danger pay. That's on top of their salary at the end of the month, considering the sort of dangerous work that these members are deployed to do, and 400 Rand danger pay is not much at the end of the day. But I think the main thing of concern here for the state and experts that we've spoken to is who are recruiting these members.
Well, I mean, this is not unique to South Africa, and it's not unique to certainly to the policing sector. So this has been happening over the years. It's not a recent phenomenon. We've seen it happen in the military as well in the past, where you saw sort of special forces operators doing the same thing. I mean, they're both push and pull factors. So you'd have police who would, are in the police and specialize in the police because it's a certain calling. You want to represent your country. You want to make your country a safer place. You want a sense of belonging. But if we look at the sort of work of the Special Task Team or the National Intervention Unit, it's incredibly dangerous work. You command a lot of pressure and criticism, but you are being deployed in very dangerous spaces. But also it's an issue around money too. I mean, the salaries are quite low compared to the sort of specialization and training. I think certainly it puts those former members at risk of being involved in organized criminal activities.
In some instances, from what we understand, they're being recruited by taxi bosses. They're being recruited by private security firms who don't have the best records from what we've been able to establish. And they're also being recruited in some instances, allegedly, by people involved in the construction mafia. So the standard of training that these members have is at the very high end when it comes to what training you can receive in terms of SAPS in this country. And yet they're opting to leave to become VIP bodyguards and protectors for some questionable people in the country. In some instances, even cigarette barons, people who are involved in the manufacturing of tobacco products in the country. And so these questions have been raised, and the states say that they are going to be investigating, but it all boils down to money at the end of the day. We've spoken to a number of former NIU and STF members who claim that they can earn anything of between 30 to 40,000 rand being a member for the state, considering how dangerous their job is. But in the private sector, they can almost double that amount and pull out about 80,000 rand a month just working in the private sector. A former NIU member who is now in the private sector himself tells me that he often hires members on an ad hoc basis to deal with certain jobs or clients that he has that need protecting. And he pays them what they want because he knows that they come with the credibility and they are highly trained and highly skilled in what they do. So this has been going on for some time. It's nothing new, but from what we've been able to establish is that since 2021, we've seen high levels of members leaving both the Special Task Force and the National Intervention Unit. I think in 2021 alone, we saw about 10 members leaving the Special Task Force just in 1 month. And these resignations come at a cost, not only to the state, but to the taxpayer. We understand that at least since 2021, 50 Special Task Force members have left the force. And that equates to about more than 50 million rand wasted on their training because they have now in the private sector and are not using those valuable skills to the benefit of the state. For Eyewitness News, I'm Arun Singh in Johannesburg.